So the ADL, or the Anti-Defamation League, they fancy themselves a civil rights organization. And so the idea is they call out bigotry, they call out xenophobia, they call out political extremism. This is what we're told about the ADL. But the head of the ADL is a guy by the name of Jonathan Greenblatt. Now, you might remember this guy because recently, remember when Elon Musk did a full-on Nazi salute multiple times during Trump's inauguration? Jonathan Greenblatt was one of the guys who ran cover for Elon and said, he's just excited, he's just autistic, it was a weird hand motion, it wasn't a Roman salute, an awkward Roman salute or something. He was part of the gaslighting brigade that came out and pretended like, no, Elon isn't doing a Nazi salute, even though on a regular basis he's on Twitter liking Nazi posts and responding to actual Nazis and saying things like, you have told the actual truth. And so that was the last time this guy was probably prominently in the news. I might be missing a time or two. I'm just blanking on it. But the problem here is that Jonathan Greenblatt, he sort of let his mask slip a little bit, right? And he's basically letting it be known that the ADL, it's not really a civil rights group. It's not really an anti-extremism group. Really, it's an Israel defense network. That's what they are. They view it as their primary goal to defend Israel at all costs. And so now we're in a place where pro-Palestine protesters are out there arguing for human rights for innocent people who are getting slaughtered on a daily basis in Gaza. And the ADL now targets those pro-Palestine protesters and accuses them of anti-Semitism. A very disgusting, dirty, gross, low trick. And so now this guy, he's been doing interviews with the New York Times. He got grilled in a New York Times interview. That interview was actually pretty good. I think the interviewer did a decent job and really exposed how Greenblatt tries to equate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. And I feel like the host adequately sort of destroys that notion and points out, like, people who are anti-Zionist just want Palestinians to have equal rights in the region. And Greenblatt can't really deal with that, and he pivots away from it, and he starts, reiterating the thesis of, no, but they're anti-Semites, believe me. So anyway, here's a different interview that he did, and he accidentally says the quiet part out loud. Here's what he really thinks about liberal values, which the ADL is supposed to defend, and multiculturalism and the melting pot, which the ADL is supposed to defend. Listen to this. Ready?
Is it your sense that Jewish people are getting complacent, that they're not engaging to degrees and levels we should be?
I have met a lot of October 8th Jews for whom the massacre on October 7th was a wake-up call. I've met a lot of people who feel much more galvanized, much more organized. But that will only be sustained if we offer them, ways to participate in a real and robust way in Jewish life.
Mm-hmm. And whose responsibility is that? In essence?
All of ours.
Yeah.
But this is why we need a revolution in our community on so many levels. So look, the reality is that intermarriage rates continue to go up. Assimilation continues apace. And look, I fight anti-Semitism. That is my job.
Right.
But I worry a great deal about broader questions of Jewish identity, as I think we talked about over lunch.
So he was bemoaning the fact that intermarriage rates have gone up among Jews. He's against that. He's against Jewish people marrying non-Jews. That's what he's saying. What happened? I thought you we're anti-bigotry, we're anti-political extremism, we're pro-liberal values, we defend civil rights. And here you are, sounding like a fucking Klansman in the 1950s against intermarriage? In their case, it was interracial marriage. In this case, it's interfaith marriage. But he also might view it as interracial marriage because, of course, Jewish is an ethnic group on top of being a religion. So that's a real let the mask slip type moment. Now, by the way, if I scroll down a little bit here, what you'll find out is, ready? This is from the ADL, bro. From the ADL. The case for loving, the fight for interracial marriage. Now, under this post, you have a lot of Nazi types who are like, oh, so intermarriage is good for white people? Like, you're in favor of it for white people, but you're against it for Jewish people? No, the reality is intermarriage is good across the board, period. Like, I don't agree with the Nazis who are saying, like, oh, we should protect our ability to be pure too. Like, no intermarriage for us too. That's the point that a lot of the white nationalists are making under this post. But no, The reality is intermarriage across the board is fine and good and just, right? But for him, when it comes to the Jewish community in particular, he goes, no, I want to make sure we keep, have everybody Jewish marry other people who are Jewish to keep us pure. Which proves what? Which means he's a supremacist. He views himself as above others, right? And that's his conception of Israel as well. He thinks, no, it's Jewish Israelis are the only people in Israel that can have rights and should have rights. And anybody else, any Arabs, any Palestinians, any Muslims, sorry, you should be a second-class citizen. This is what they mean by a Jewish state. It means Jewish Israelis are the only ones with full citizenship rights. Everybody else exists at our whim, right? We may or may not accept you based on the day, but you certainly get different rules, almost like an apartheid system, right? Different rules apply to you, different laws apply to you. You don't have all the same rights that a Jewish Israeli would have. This is the mindset. This is who this guy is. And so he's letting the mask slip. And the reality is, his job is to defend Israel, defend Zionism, defend Benjamin Netanyahu even at this late date, right? And so he covers up the genocide and gaslights about the genocide. And his main goal now is to accuse all pro-Palestine voices, all anti-genocide voices, smear them all as anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish, bigots, extremists, bad people, right? And make it ruin their lives. Help ruin their lives because they dare to speak up against babies being bombed and starved. But again, here's the moment he accidentally let it slip. The mask slipped. And he told you what he really thinks, which is he's not even in favor of intermarriage. So why? Why would you not be in favor of intermarriage? You wouldn't be in favor of intermarriage because you think others are less than you. You think they don't count as much as a Jewish person counts in your mind. That's supremacism. Okay? We don't play that. That's political extremism. That's what that is. That is anti-civil rights, anti-civil liberties, anti-human rights. That's what that is. And so this stupid fucking game you play where you pretend to be the arbiter of all that is just and all that is fair and all that is liberal values, fucking spare me. Zionism cannot coincide with liberal values. They don't work together. You have to pick. It's one or the other. And we know what you're going to pick, Jonathan Greenblatt. So you don't even have to say it. We got you. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.